Okay, can everybody hear me? Got you. Y'all good? Okay. The last thing that Ms. Johnson talked about was the syllabus template. I want to refer you back to that on page 13, the non-discrimination statement. Let's look at that for a minute. It says Southern Crescent Tech does not discriminate on the basis of race, color, creed, national or ethnic origin, gender, religion, disability, age, political affiliation or belief, disabled veteran, veteran of the Vietnam era, or citizenship status. Just want to stress to you the importance of following this non-discrimination statement and ask you to just be mindful of statements that you may make to students. I'll give you some examples of where students have come to one of us feeling that they have been discriminated against. Sometimes you make statements that you don't mean to be discriminatory, but the students may perceive it as that. So just be mindful. We've had a student who came in who she was a pregnant student and was told that she might not be able to finish the program, and she felt like she was being discriminated just because of that simple statement. We've had another student who felt that they were being discriminated against because of their religious affiliation. She said the student had made references to her religious status to the entire class and was embarrassed about it, that type of thing. We've had a student in a learning support class who was told that she probably needed to be in a lower level class even though she tested into that class. There are situations where we really need to try to work with the student and get them through that, even though you may feel like they need to go into a lower level class. But if you are having issues, if you come see me or one of the deans, we'll try to come up with some solutions or alternatives for that. So please just be mindful of your statements and do follow this non-discrimination statement. If you look on page 14, I wanted to cover briefly a little bit about FERPA, which is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. This is a federal law, and all institutions that receive funds from the Department of Education have to follow FERPA. It does afford students rights regarding their education records. Annually, the Southern Crescent has to advise students of their FERPA rights, and that includes the right to inspect and review their record, the right to request amendment of their record if they feel like it's inaccurate or misleading, the right to consent to disclosures of personally identifiable information, and the right to file a complaint with the U.S. Department of Education. If you look at the next statement, it tells you individuals who have reached the age of 18 or individuals who attend a post-secondary institution are covered by FERPA. The big thing right there is the or. Notice that's in bold. We are a post-secondary institution. So that means every one of our students enrolled at Southern Crescent are covered by FERPA. If they're 16 or 17, they're still covered by FERPA. If a parent calls you and wants to know if their child has been attending or what their grades are, you can't disclose that information unless the student has signed a written consent. The consent forms are located in the admissions office, and they're put in the student's file in admissions. So be very mindful of this if someone's asking for information on one of your students. FERPA does cover records that identify the student and maintained by Southern Crescent. And it does last a lifetime, basically until a student dies, they're covered under FERPA. FERPA does not cover sole possession records or employment records. By sole possession records, that means if you've made a note about a student and you've got it in your own personal file, that's not covered by FERPA. Okay. There's two types of information that we keep on students: directory information and non-directory information. Directory information can be released without the student's consent, and directory information has to be spelled out in the student handbook, and it does include the name, the address, phone number, email address, enrollment status, program of study, dates of attendance, certificate, diploma, degree awarded, honors received, recognized study, activity, participation, photograph, or publicity. If an employer calls, wants to know if a student has attended or graduated, that is information that can be given to employers. Typically, those requests go through the admissions office. But non-directory information is the information that cannot be released unless the student has a signed consent form. And that would include like their social security number, their date of birth, the grades, their attendance records. The exceptions to this would be, of course, you can release those to the student, to an education official with a legitimate education interest, to comply with a subpoena or court order, and that does happen where, as I think it was Ms. Johnson mentioned that earlier, we do have subpoena for student records. In connection with financial aid to accrediting organizations, when a health or safety emergency is apparent. The best thing to follow here is when in doubt, don't release the information and refer them to the registrar's office. They're looking for information. So.
And there's one other thing that came up too, and that is when you're passing back graded work in a class, don't just pass all the students in that row so that every student gets to see what every other student's grade is, or don't call out grades. I think a lot of us have been in classes, and I probably way back in my early teaching days did things like that, trying to be efficient with my time. But things like that really get to students, and they will call us on that. So just be very mindful of how private you really need to be with every student's piece of information, including their grades.
Yeah, they even say some instructors, I guess, have posted the students' grades maybe on a wall and just put like their last 4 digits of their Social Security number. Again, you can't even do that. So just be mindful of that. Okay. Okay.
Regarding page 13, I now have my students, make my students do essays for work ethics, and I keep having incidents where they plagiarize. They go out and copy information from different sources on the web and turn it in. My question is can I, well, I normally counsel the student regarding our policy on that, but can I, in addition to that, type up some type of letter and a form or whatever, and have that put into their student record for future reference if they continue to plagiarize?
I don't know about putting it in their record.
How to do that?
You're talking about in their record in the admissions office, or you can certainly keep that record yourself, but I don't know what that.
If they go into another class and they continue to plagiarize, they won't know that they did it previously in another class. So I'm saying, can I actually type something up and have that introduced, into their student record?
Well, I think if it's signed by you and the student and maybe the dean, that it would be, yes. Yes, the question was if a student plagiarizes in your class, and of course he would do counseling with the student, but and if the student continues to do this, could something be typed up and put in the student's file? And I would, if it's signed by you, the student, and the dean, and the student realizes that this is being put into their file, I think that would be acceptable. Yeah. It'd be kind of like a warning, discipline. So, yeah, that could be done. Okay. All right. Some of you already are putting your grades in Banner Web and access your rosters on Banner Web, but not all of you do. We would like for all the adjunct instructors to start putting your grades in Banner Web. And there are some instructions on page 15 and 16 that show you how to do this. And I'm going to go over this too. And you can access Banner Web from Southern Crescent's website, which is www.sctech.edu. When you get to the main web page, Banner Web, you just click on that. Maximize it. And just for your information, it says where it says how to access Banner Self-Serve, that's basically instructions for students. So if a student asks you about Banner Web, you can tell them there's instructions on the website. You're going to have to enter the secure area, and your user ID is your Social Security number, and your initial PIN is your birth date. And Mr. Mercado, our criminal justice instructor, also the department chair for public services, said I could use his for an example. So you also have a 900 number, just like the students have a student ID. Instructors also have that number. To find your number, you'll be able to see this on Banner Web once you log in. Lemmy wouldn't give me his social security number, so we'll have to use his ID here. PIN is your 6-digit birthday. Initially, it's 2-digit month, 2-digit day, and 2-digit year. Just click log in. The very first time you log in, it may require you to change your PIN. Lemmy has logged in before, so obviously it's not going to go through that step, but it'll just ask you to re-enter your PIN, and then you'll have to enter a new PIN twice. And I think it says it has to be a number between 5 and 15 digits. But if it doesn't like it, it'll tell you. You have to pick something else.